It's my honor. It's my honor to introduce to you a great business leader, a fantastic community leader, the next congressman from the 8th District, who's going to make sure that Larry Kissel is unemployed so we can get Americans employed. Richard Hudson.
Thank you so much. Thank you. What a great crowd here today. I really appreciate the warm welcome you've given me and my wife Renee is back here. Hi, darling. Appreciate the warm welcome. A few months ago, I was in another county in the 8th District. It's not quite as Republican. I'm going to a room talking to people, and I noticed this fellow leaned up against the wall. He had his arms crossed. He had a little scowl on his face. Being the optimist I am, I said, I'm going to talk to that guy. I can win this vote. And so I went over to him, stuck out my hand, and said, sir, I'm Richard Hudson. I'm running for Congress, and I appreciate your vote. He just looked at me. Said, I wouldn't vote for you if you were St. Peter. Kind of surprised, but I looked right back at him and said, sir, if I was St. Peter, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be in my district. You gotta take it with a little humor. But I appreciate the strong support you've given me. I've never run for office before. I've always been a behind-the-scenes person. But I just got so fed up with the direction they're taking us in Washington. So fed up with a president who spends money we don't have. We actually print money so that we can buy our own debt. Do you believe that? That's like getting a credit card in the name of your kid and running it up and saying, when you grow up, you need to pay this off. Literally, that's what it's like. That's immoral. We got to stop it. So that's why I decided it's time to run. And the fellow I'm running against, Larry Kissel, he's got these yard signs out in the 8th District that say, another conservative for Kissel. They also are in yards that have Obama yard signs, too, so figure that out. But he's trying to portray himself as conservative, and you know what? He's taken 3 or 4 good conservative votes. In fact, he voted against health care twice. What he doesn't tell you is he voted for it twice. So where does he really stand? He's a guy that campaigns on eliminating the death tax, but he voted to make it permanent. This is a guy who voted for stimulus that's now the price tag's over $1 trillion. He doesn't share our values. He doesn't represent us. And it's time we send him home. Because the basic problem is that Barack Obama and Larry Kissel, they don't understand the American dream. They don't understand the essence of why we're a great country. You know, I grew up in a small town in eastern North Carolina. I moved to Charlotte when I was 14. But I can remember being a little boy in that town. My favorite Sundays were the Sundays when my parents would take my sister and me to the Holiday Inn for the all-you-can-eat buffet. You know what I'm talking about? As a little kid, I thought it was the biggest buffet in the world. So I loved those Sundays. So we'd get in the car, we'd leave church, and we'd drive out to the interstate where the Holiday Inn was. And we'd pass this house, big white house, up on the hill, biggest house in our town. I used to love that house. And I can remember riding by the house, and my mom would point out the window. And what she wouldn't say was, look at those greedy rich people up there. That's not what she said. She said, Richard, if you stay in school, and you work hard, and you get a good job, one day you can have a house like that. And that is the essence of the American dream. Because what it's about is the freedom of opportunity. It's the fact that anybody in America, no matter where you're born, no matter what your circumstance is, you can be anything you want to be. And you can go out and take a risk and start a business. And by the way, if you own a business, we did build that. But you can take a risk, and you know what? You might fail. But you can get up and try again. And that's why America's great. And that's why this president and Larry Kissel, you know, they want to have this utopian society where government can make decisions for you, the decisions that you're not smart enough to make for yourself. That's why they tell you what kind of light bulb you can have. Right? That's why they want to have 15 unelected bureaucrats tell you what kind of health care you can have. But what they don't mention is they can also tell you what kind of health care you're not going to be able to have when the money runs out. So they want to have this utopian society where the government does everything for you. That's not what we're about. You know, they want to make us like Europe. But by the way, Europe isn't working in Europe. It's sure not going to work here. And so we've got to keep up the work. We've got 24 days and about 6.5 hours. I'm not counting, but you know, we've got a few days left. So thank you for those of you who are here making calls. And I just ask all of you, commit at least one day a week in here making calls, because we've got to get the word out. When you go home tonight, send an email to everybody in your address book. Give them the list of the conservative judges. Tell them why you're voting Robert Pittman for Congress, or Richard Hudson, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan. Tell them why it's so important, and encourage them to get out and vote. We've got to do everything we can do. We've got to touch everybody that you can touch, because the stakes are that high. So I just ask you, recommit with us, and let's make these next 25 days the road to victory and the road to our turnaround. Now, I have the honor of introducing our next speaker, who actually is the speaker. John Boehner came to Congress representing the 8th District of Ohio, and he joined this group called the Gang of Seven. Y'all might remember this. We had a fellow from North Carolina named Charles Taylor who was part of that group. These guys were rabble-rousers. They came and shook things up, and they said, we're not going to allow the House Bank members to continue to steal money from the House Bank. Remember that? We're not going to allow members to go buy stamps on the government account and then go sell them back and pocket the money. Remember that? John Boehner and these guys took on the establishment, and that's his background as a reformer in Congress. The other thing I like about John Boehner is he's one of 12 children. He worked in his family business growing up, mopping floors, waiting tables. My dad was a home builder. I can remember as soon as I could walk, he took me to a job site. He said, pick up trash. I'll be back later to pick you up. So I can appreciate someone who's had to work. But he also worked his way through college like I did. He was a night janitor at his college. That's where he met his wife. They've been married 37 years. They've got 2 daughters. He's a good man. And John Boehner was a leader who organized the Republicans, who stood up against the stimulus, who stood up against cap and trade, who stood up against Obamacare. We didn't win that fight then, but we're going to win it next year, I guarantee you. John Boehner has been a leader, and there's no one with more integrity in Congress. There's no one who cares more deeply about the American people. I'm proud to call him my friend, and I look forward next year to calling him my speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Speaker John Boehner.
Listening to Hudson, I thought he was trying to make me cry.